Hey guys, Forrest, Van Media here, and I'm here with a special guest, David Angus. This is going to be the first of a monthly series called Interview with a Forrest, which was actually suggested to me by my own wife. Um, and what she says goes, just to kind of throw that in
Nice.
there. So anyway, I'm here to interview David Angus. He's a musician and songwriter from Alberdeen, Scotland, and to us personally, he wrote and produced the song "The Ballad of the Lin Quay" in the first episode of Mortal Kombat Oblivion, and he was also the voice of the two barn thieves in the first episode. There are a couple other songs and voices that he provided for the later episodes, which I can't wait for you guys to hear. And he's also released a couple of albums. The latest one being "When the Clubs Come Out," right?
Yep.
Yeah, when the clubs come out, you can find that on just anywhere like YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. It's a really good album. I listened to it myself, just really good music, and he's a very talented guy. So yeah, thanks for coming on, David.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
So just let's start a little bit about yourself, just to kick things off. Like, what first got you into music? Was there a specific defining moment for you, or was that just always kind of in the back of your mind, really?
Well, the main one was I originally I wanted a girlfriend, basically, and I thought to myself that'd be really cool. And yeah, no, and it worked. I got into music and I got a girlfriend. Then we're not together now, but after that, that was kind of the defining moment. Then the other one would have been when I listened to Nirvana for the first time, because I'd always liked rock music ever since I was little, like Red Hot Chili Peppers and all that, you know. But when I really listened to Nirvana, that was kind of like the turning point for me to pick up a guitar really and like actually get into it. Like I knew how to play guitar a little bit before that, which kind of worked, but I really wanted to become a musician after hearing what was it? It was the greatest hits of Nirvana. So I had like stuff from Nevermind, In Utero, Bleach, like, you know, and some unreleased stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that was actually that was one of the moments for me to get me into music.
Okay, all right. So like, I mean, my next question was going to be like, what are your favorite bands and or singers? But it's like Nirvana is obviously one of them. That was like kind of an inspiration for you, really.
Yeah, because it was actually not just Nirvana though, but it was Kurt Cobain in particular. He's a lot of people's inspiration, but I don't know what it was like. Cause like I say, I like all kinds of music, and ever since then, I've really been turned on to more new stuff. You know, like new and old.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Kurt Cobain was definitely the thing that I kind of. He was definitely the person. I don't know what it was. He was very relatable in a way, in the sense of just being himself. You know, very smart man, very very talented, and absolutely tragic what happened. And I'd like to think his memory and his music will live on forever, not just through like people who love him, but like people who want to carry on his legacy in a way, like not to do what he's doing, but I mean just do their own thing. You know, that's what I get from him. He kind of inspires you to just be the best you that you can be. As a quote of his was, "Wanting to be somebody else is a waste of the person you are." And I've always kind of lived by that quote. You know, and even in these days, it's very difficult to be yourself when there's a lot of conformity. You know, and there's a lot of people that are kind of just following the herd. So it's kind of exciting, but also kind of difficult to be yourself in this day and age. But he was definitely one of the people who inspired me for sure. So.
Well, were there any other ones aside from him, or is he kind of the biggest one for you?
Yeah, I went to school with a friend of mine, and he played guitar. He played a Les Paul, a Gibson Les Paul, and this is before I started really getting my craft on the go with it and becoming like the level I am now, basically. He used to play Guns N' Roses quite a lot, and I love Guns N' Roses as well. The opposite from Nirvana, obviously, but like I like all kinds. But no, this my friend actually played the Les Paul, and he played "Sweet Child O' Mine" and "Paradise City," and he really, really did the slash parts so like to perfection. Like I'd never seen at that age. Like it wasn't really common for somebody like 14 years old or something like that to be playing that good, you know, in school. Yeah. And then he used to sit in like the hallway and all that, like on break time, and just play everybody, and everyone would be loving it, you know. And he just thinks it's like, oh, I want to do that, you know what I mean? And at that point, I couldn't really play or sing, but I decided to join a band, and he was in the band. and we were called the Takeaways. And there's already a band called the Takeaways, but we didn't know that at the time. And it was kind of like a punk thing, and we got like free band practice and everything in some places because we were still in school and all that, which was great. So yeah, we formed a band, and he was kind of like, just what he could do was amazing. And he'd actually been playing since years before he was like 14. He'd been playing since he was like a child, you know what I mean? I couldn't believe it. And that kind of made me think, you know what, this guy's really good. I want to try and like, you know, be really good as well, you know. I want to, you know, I really want to entertain people, you know. I want to make people go, wow, you know, and because he made me go, wow, you know, I loved it. That was great. And then to have him in the band was just even better. And I'm still kind of friends with him to this day, actually. He's really great. So yeah, he was kind of one of my inspirations as well.
Wow. Yeah, it was really interesting to me because I believe the very first thing I saw of you singing was, I believe it was a video that you posted on your Facebook page where you were standing outside singing. I believe it was "What a Day," but I could be completely wrong about that. It was raining too. That was something that stuck out to me. I just thought that was really cool because, I mean, you're one guy and you're you know, you stand outside downtown, wherever, you know, where you live, wherever that is. And,
Yeah.
and it, you know, and it's raining a little bit and stuff like that. And you just want to entertain people, and you want to like just bring a certain sound, you know, to, a certain sound to downtown. I just thought that was really cool. And so that was the very first thing I saw of yours as far as your music was concerned. Because I'm always curious about the type of people who audition, you know, for the roles and stuff like that. And when I saw that you had a Facebook page, you know, just an official Facebook page where you post your stuff, I'm like, okay, so like there's more here, and that's great. You know, that's awesome. So that was my first experience, at least finding your music.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. That was, I think that was "Blue in a World That's Grey." I think that's the one that you
That's
heard.
that, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know I was probably wrong. Like, "What a Day" is actually probably one of my favorites, personally.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites too. I love playing that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like my favorite. I actually listened to the entire album for when the clubs come out. Listened to at least half of it on the way to work, and then like the other half when I left. So that was really funny. Just the unique thing about it is that the type of music genre you do isn't even exactly the kind of music genre I listen to on a daily basis. Like, that's not even really my kind of music. I listen to a lot of hip hop and rap, actually. That's what I listen to a lot. And so I knew there was something really unique. I knew there was something really special to your music when I was hooked on when the clubs come out. When I was hooked to it from beginning to end, I knew there was something special, because if it had been anyone else, I probably wouldn't have listened to it. So I just that was something that really stuck out to me.
Oh yeah, it means a lot, man. I actually know I love hip hop and rap because I've got quite a eclectic music taste. I like a lot of the new stuff that's coming out right now, especially Dua Lipa. I really like her music. So it's really nice to kind of. The good thing about listening to a lot of modern stuff as well is not only that it's obviously in charts and all that. It's really good. It is. It's obviously that's what it is. You know, it's always good to kind of drift away from that sometimes and discover other artists, you know, that aren't in the charts, you know, and you find that they're not actually, in terms of creativity and sound, sometimes they're not really that different. It's just one's more popular than the other, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, music is music, regardless of what you like, I think. But yeah, I kind of incorporate some pop music into mine. I call my style alternative, but really it's a mix of everything. You know, a lot of people call it indie, like independent. And acoustic as well. But I mean, this next album I'm working on is coming up. It's got a fair amount of rock on it, and it's got a bit of sort of peaceful kind of piano stuff. You know, just kind of a bit of everything. But it's nice to know that people that are kind of into like a certain kind of music, mainly like mine, you know, they enjoy my kind of stuff. That's really nice to know, because it's not easy for a musician, especially an independent one, to kind of turn other people onto their music who don't really like that kind of music, you know. It's like one of the greatest compliments you'll ever receive, so I really appreciate it, man. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And it's funny that you talk about how like there's a little bit of a struggle in figuring out how to name your genre, because I was talking to someone that I know personally, and honestly, he's been a real inspiration to me as far as just being able to do something like Fans Media, being able to talk to interview people like you and create the kind of content that I make. And I was telling him that I was going to be interviewing you this Saturday, and that you're a musician and songwriter. You're from Scotland and everything. And he said, okay, well, like, well, what kind of music does he do? What's the genre? And I said, I don't really know. Like, I don't even know where to begin with that. Like, alternative. Like, and I'm glad I said alternative because that's probably one of the closest. It's probably the most accurate, really. So yeah, that stuck out to me, and I thought it was funny that you mentioned the same thing. That can be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, no, we can just call it avant-garde and just be done with it, you know.
Yeah, that's perfect. So what is the creative process when it comes to your music? What's that been like for you? Because I mean, we live in a COVID era right now. 2020 has been a bit of an ass kicker for most of us and all across the world. And oh, I slipped up there myself. That's PG.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Bleep it out.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so like for you in quarantine, like has the creative process been harder for you, or has it actually helped motivate you to work more on your craft, since I guess you have less to do and you have less options in terms of what you can do?
Yeah, it's been a strange one. Obviously, it's been a strange one for everybody. I think me personally, at first it was very quiet because just before COVID, things were really starting to kick off, like in a good way. You know, I think we were starting to really take off. I had a backing band for myself, two of my pals who I've known for a while now, and they were playing for me, which was really great. And they're so talented and great at what they do. Like, one's a comedian as well, and it's just fantastic, and I love them to bits. And it's great to have that sort of thing going. So we'd kind of like just sort of. Declan McWigan, that's his name. That's a bassist and comedian. He was great, you know, and we've kept in contact since. And just before COVID happened, things were going really well, and then it happened, sadly. So the creative process has been strange because I've been inside most of the time up until recently. And what I did kind of was just sort of relax a little bit and just just started to accept the reality of the situation, which sucked. It was awful, but I guess I just had to, you know. And what I decided to do was, while I'm here, make the most of it. And I wrote a bunch of songs. Some of them are coming out for the next album. Awesome. I learned I have a keyboard, like a piano keyboard as well, and I never really played much of it until COVID happened. So I really started getting to learn how to play that properly, and I can play some Beatles songs. I love my Beatles, you know. So yeah, I just started learning all that sort of stuff, and also gaming as well, because gaming is therapeutic. You know?
Yeah, it is. I for sure it is. I mean, I got to play The Last of Us Part 2 this summer, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah.
Great game. I mean, I was a huge Last of Us fan when the first game came out like 7 years back, and Last of Us Part 2 was the very first game I bought on release day. So that was a big deal. Yeah. So I have that. It's funny because I have that, and I have the PS4 remastered edition, which is great because the PS4 remastered edition takes it up to like 60 frames per second, and there's a massive difference with that.
It's pretty crazy. It's great that they managed to remaster that and bring it into the newer generation, because even though Last of Us didn't actually come out that long ago, it was like 2013 it came out, I think. And even at that time, it was like, this is revolutionary, like, because the acting and the story and the way it was told was so good, you know. And it's just amazing to see it come so far, you know. And now that it's been re-released on the PS4, and now we're on our way to the PS5, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's amazing, you know. And but the fact is, like, even though it's only 7 years ago, that's still like maybe a generation or two, you know, because I mean, generation is defined differently for different things, you know what I mean? So I'd say it's a couple of generations, like every couple of years. So newer ones won't know what The Last of Us Part 1 exactly was. So it's good for them to kind of get the chance to experience it on the PS4, you know, and people that did play the first one will get to experience it all over again in higher definition and it's just amazing to see it come this far. My friend's got the second one. He got the collector's edition, which has got LA playing her guitar.
Yeah,
It's
I've seen
like,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I'm just kind of sitting there. Like one of my friends has like, he's big time gamer, big time guy for that sort of thing, and he's got like shelves upon shelves of like consoles and games like from years prior to now. And he's a collector and a trophy guy for the PlayStation 4. And honestly, like seeing all his collector's editions like sitting on the shelf, we're just kind of sitting there like, this is like being in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Do you know what I mean? It's so cool, and I
like
love
that.
it today. So yeah.
Yeah, quarantine for me has been interesting. I mean, it's funny because I say quarantine, but I've never had to be personally quarantined, thankfully. But you know, but like basically having really no choice but to stay at home unless I was at work, because our work is quote unquote essential. So I still had to go in every day. But you know, like having to stay at home a lot and not really be able to go out and do much, it has allowed me to build Vanzot Media up as a freelance business as much as I can possibly make it right now. But it's also allowed me, I love TV shows. I love serialized shows. So I am really getting more and more into writing scripts, which obviously goes into these audio dramas. So I want to like make more do more serialized storytelling. The funny thing is that I try really hard whenever I'm just casually watching YouTube. I try really hard to make sure that I do that on my personal YouTube channel. But sometimes I end up like casually watching YouTube on the Vanzot Media YouTube channel. So Vanzot Media's YouTube algorithm is almost nothing but Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul stuff.
Yeah.
that makes up like 90% of the algorithm, and it's awesome because I love both of those shows so much.
Yeah, me too.
The first 4 seasons of Better Call Saul were on Netflix, so I watched those all this year, and then the 5th season isn't on Netflix yet, but I know it's been finished for a while now. I couldn't wait any longer. I rented the whole thing on Amazon and watched it in a week because those shows, I think Vince Gilligan is just a brilliant storyteller, brilliant director and writer, and I really don't think I'll ever be able to get like half as good as he's ever been, but he's a huge inspiration for me.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean there. Like, I think he's one of the probably the greats of our time, and for many more times to come in the future. Do you know what I mean? I think he's fantastic. I love that he's very outside the box, especially what they did with their cameras and how they filmed Breaking Bad, and how they wrote it as well. Not to mention the actors that they got for it were just phenomenal, you know. But like I say, the idea is to not be as good as him, but to be as good as you can be. You know what I mean? Because I don't think he wanted to be as good as anyone. He wanted to be the best he could be. Do you know what I mean? That's why he's so great. And that's where I come back to being an individual and being yourself, like Kurt Cobain did. You know what I mean? Like, he's so great because he wasn't trying to be anybody else, you know? So like that may be like, you know, that's maybe like a good way to look at it. You know what I mean? Because I think you're fantastic at what you do. And starting now, imagine where you're going to be in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you set that goal, you know, you can achieve it if you really just put your mind to it, which is what you're doing. And I'm very proud to be a part of it in some way. You know? So but back on the YouTube algorithm there, my one's filled up with just random things, all kinds of random things. It's crazy. Like I've been watching that I Shouldn't Be Alive thing, you know, like all those crazy survival stories of people and all that. Like one guy was adrift at sea for like 76 days. Like that's insane. That kind of just makes you, like, when you watch stuff like that, you kind of think, you know, maybe things aren't as bad as they seem, and like, you know, it's because it could be worse. You could be at sea. Do you know what I mean? You could be stuck at sea on a life raft. Do you know what I mean? I know it's extreme, but the point of that whole thing was, you know, if people can get through difficult times, you know, you can too. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's kind of got me through COVID a little bit. You know, through lockdown is like, it might not. I don't think it's going to be like this forever. Things will get better eventually, but things always get bad, but things do get better eventually. And it could be worse, you know, it really could. And I'm grateful that I'm still healthy. I'm grateful that I'm able to, you know, work on my craft. I'm grateful that that I'm now closer to my friends than I was before. And what I mean by that is now that we're all properly, you know, we're all in the same situation. We're all like, you know, struggling here. It's good to be communicating and be in contact with everybody. So it's yeah, it's very good. So that's the positive about it, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, no, it's just it's crazy times, but things will get better eventually, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned that you're closer to your friends, because like the more that I've done, or the more that I've really tried to hone in on my skills when it comes to video editing and writing and stuff like that, is that friends of mine will see that, or they'll find out that I'm doing stuff like that, and they're like, "Hey, can you help me with this? Like, can you come
Yeah,
over and
yeah,
like show me how to do this then?" And it's just been such an experience, really. And so I mean, gratitude for sure, absolutely, like what you just said there, is extremely important. And that's actually a lesson that I've had to learn more than once this year.
yeah.
I mean, I got married January 18th of this year, and that's literally, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. That's literally how the year kicked off. And at the
Yeah.
time, we would have never been able to guess where things would go in 2020. So it's been insane.
Yeah, honestly, I'm happy for you. And I think I saw your post as well, and I'm just thinking, oh, I'm so happy for him. Oh my God, you know, like, so I'm a very sentimental kind of guy. So, you know, when I see things like, you know, people are happy and they've gotten married or had kids or whatever, it's just a lovely thing to see, you know, and that's always a positive, especially in a dark time like this. So, like I say, congratulations, man. I'm happy for you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it so much, man.
It's all right.
So like, but let's talk for a minute. Let's talk for a minute about times before COVID. Like, what was your first open mic night? Like, is that something that you can really describe?
Yes. First open. Do you mean like a first gig or just an open mic night? Is that what you mean?
Open mic night. Like, what was that like for you, standing up in front of a group of, well, let's be honest, strangers, like, and sharing your
Yeah.
music in that kind of audience?
Uh, yeah, I'll give you a quick funny story actually about that. It was good. I actually very much enjoyed it, but it was the wrong place to go for my first one.
Mm. Oh, really?
Uh, yeah, it wasn't terrible as such. It was just more like there's this place called the Blue Lamp, a very great place, very lovely place, just next to a college where I used to go to as
Mm.
well, and it's in town. So it was a Friday night, I think, and so this open mic night wasn't exactly an open mic as such. It was more of a country western open mic night.
Mm.
So like American country music, basically, which I love. I do. And these guys did as well. They were all like they were dressed the part. They had the hats on and everything. They had
Mm.
not the cowboy, but but those kind of shoes. They all looked amazing. They looked cool, and I'm kind of walking it there. I'm like, wait a minute, am I in Texas or something? What was going on here? You know what I mean? And I walked in there with my guitar. I'm in rugged clothing, a red hoodie, baggy jeans, rough shoes. Like my Converse were ruined. At this point, I didn't really. I wasn't very. I was quite lazy, and didn't really keep up appearances that much. I had quite long hair, and I walked in there, and they were kind of looking at me, and I kind of felt judged. But it was okay. I was like, I'm here for the music, man. I'm here for the music,
This is fine.
So yeah, and they were all so good. I'm sitting there. I had myself a drink. The thing is, by the way, when you go open mics, when you go to an open mic, go with somebody. Don't go by yourself. Because
Right.
like some open mics you can go by yourself because you'll meet new people there. It's a great place to. It's a good community. People really like want to hear music and just have a nice chat and just get to know everybody, which is great. But certain open mics, sometimes if there's a theme and you go by yourself and you're not according to that theme, then it's kind of awkward. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I should have went with somebody. But anyway, to finish that story, so I'll go in there, and this is my first proper open mic. And I sat down, had my drink, had my guitar with me, and then the guy who was organizing it, very lovely guy, very friendly guy, great singer, great guitarist, came up to me and he was like, are you here to play, are you? And I said, oh yeah, I'm here to play. Is there any slots available if I came too late, And he's like, no, we'll get you on the list if you want. But this is kind of like, if you do you play like country music and all that? I was like, yeah, sure, man, sure. I don't play. I don't
Absolutely.
play. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, dude, no worries. So, and I got on the stage after hearing them play "Please Johnny, Please Come Home," which is a beautiful country song. heard that, and I'm like, I'm on my way to go up and try to like play it after an amazing performance like that. What am I doing? You know, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a song I wrote called "That's the Attitude," which I wrote years ago, and that's actually a way to come out. I'm waiting to finally release that on the album. So I played that. That's a very funky kind of hip hop / rock song. So it's quite a jumpy kind of tune.
Yeah.
I played that as soon as I went on there, because they went, all right, guys, if you can give a warm round of applause and a warm welcome to David Angus, who is from Maastricht. And I'm like, and I just kind of walked down, I was like, hey guys, and it was like tumbleweed, you know. And then so I started playing it, and the minute I just started playing that first chord and the funkiness, they're just sitting there like proper, like I felt like I was being like, you know, like in a western where the cowboys kind of like eyeing you up a way to shoot you or something like that. I felt that's what it was. And I'm sitting there just like, you know, they're sitting there and I'm just kind of like doing my thing. And it almost felt like also Back to the Future where Marty plays that crazy solo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they're all like, huh? You know what I mean? It's like, it's ahead of your time. But that's what it felt like. And you usually get like 2 or 3 songs, but I played one song and it was kind of like, all right, thank you very much, David. All right, next up we have, and I was like, you know, so I just kind of walked up the stage, and nobody gave me a round of applause. Like I finished that song, I think there was one guy at the front going, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, but if it wasn't, you know, like that was one of the moments. I think it's important to have things like that because sometimes, you know, you got to maybe realize your audience, and also it helps if you've played to a not to disrespect that crowd, but I mean,
Sure.
For me, they were quite dead because they weren't really into what I was playing. That's all. So I didn't know anybody there, so that's what it was. So I played that, and you know, things like that. I know I'm used to that now because I have done that a few times. You know, where you turn up to a quiet gig, you know, and it's just not such a good reception, you know. So I have had that, and it's very important to learn from those things because then you know how to deal with it, and you've become more confident. You know, and it helps, you know, and then you know what people like as well. You know how to interact with people and bring them together. So in a way, you learn every day, every gig. You never become a master because if you become a master at it, you're not going to be able to progress, are you? You're just going to be a master. But if you stay as a student and learn all the time, always, that's a key to being more successful there.
That kind of like dead reaction that you're talking about. It reminds me of pretty much any like reception whenever I post something, upload something new on YouTube. It's like just this dead silence, and then I have you in the back going, but it's sincere. It's sincere.
Like I mean every clap, man. I mean every clap. You know, it's great.
I mean that's what it feels like right now. You know, I mean, you know, some people will like, you know, upload stuff and they barely get any views or whatever, and they'll either become discouraged and stop doing it, or they'll just kind of have it in their heads that, oh, now that I have this up, people love me and stuff like that. I am fully aware of how many views or like how few views certain content gets. But the way I have it I'm fully aware that I'm not disillusioned by this idea that, oh, now that I have this brand name up that, you know, a lot of people know me and, you know, like me and everything. But I'm aware that you always start off small. Your audiences are going to barely be there. But if I love what I'm doing and I'm passionate about doing that, then I'm not going to have the public reception be like the defining thing for me where I decide whether or not it's even worth continuing. So as far as I know, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and eventually I'll reach that point where I get more people listening or watching, whatever the case may be.
You definitely will. That's a way I think of it is this is maybe a way to help you keep going because it helps me keep going. And like it's not like to be taken a different way or anything. It's generally by fact you will get somewhere with it if you just keep hammering at it. You won't still be in the same place because you're always going to get somebody new coming along and experiencing your work, your art, you know. So you're always going to get somebody new, and you're always going to like get more views from it, more comments. It just gradually builds. That's just what happens if you keep doing it. And if you keep sharing it with people, then they share it with their friends, and their friends share it with their friends. It just kind of takes on a life of its own as long as you keep at it, you know, because obviously you can get discouraged and all that. But if you get discouraged, there's nothing wrong with taking just a little bit of a break from it. That's all, you know. But then when you come back to it, you'll start fresh. You know, some people don't take breaks from it, you know, but I personally find that that's quite nice to do, you know, unless you're like super driven, like Steve Jobs driven, you know, then you're
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? But that's definitely one of the things that's to remember, is just to keep plugging at it, you know. That's what I'm doing. I mean, you don't know where you're going to get to. You know where you want to get to, but you don't know if that's going to be the outcome, which is also kind of exciting because you don't know where it's going to take you. But yeah, don't be discouraged. You know, just if you know, just take your time with it. You know, and just keep plugging at it. And that's by fact, it will grow. You know, I mean, it does definitely grow as long as you keep plugging at it. So. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I know someone personally who he is the CEO of this thing called Nerdfest, which is basically kind of another branch of like Comic-Con conventions. And I'm going to be interviewing him sometime soon, like maybe in the next month or two. And
Cool.
so that kind of just to the more connections you make, the better. And if you keep connecting with other people and you keep connecting with other content creators and you just keep reaching out to people, that really helps.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's where it comes from as well. You know, especially with keep like I say, keep plugging at it. You know, you meet more people. You know, and more contacts. And then eventually that one contact who's really into the sort of stuff you do, they might be doing the same thing, and then you come together, and you never know what you'll make. It'll just be great, and it just kind of helps to have more contacts as well. You meet a lot of people through it.
Absolutely. So I noticed on occasion on Facebook you would post these things, put up these posts about the nightclubs where people share their music or people play music and stuff like that in general. You said that there's kind of a danger of that kind of going extinct in a way. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what happened was obviously with COVID, it's affecting not just the nightclubs, but every business in general, and that's both corporate business and independent business. They're all being affected by it. But I think, not to be political, from what I've heard, is you know it's a lot of the government sort of time and money is going into big corporate businesses, obviously, because they're trying to keep those up on the go. That's what I've heard anyway, which is quite a shame because that means a lot of the independent ones don't really get much and they have to kind of fend for themselves. And it's awful. But like nightclubs as well, like music life, you know, just nightlife in general, that's in jeopardy big time. Because recently, one of the places I always played at and love dearly, close to my heart, that they were in so much danger of shutting down. They had to do a crowdfunder, like a campaign and all that, to kind of raise money for it. So what we did with that was we basically did like live streams to raise money, and they tried to do a good few of them, you know, to raise awareness, and got everybody to share it and donated. I donated some money. I didn't have a lot, but I mean, I tried what I could, you know, and that's what I did. I played a live stream for them, so it was much like playing a gig for them again, which was the closest thing I was able to get, and I miss it dearly. And yeah, they were in danger. I believe that I think we did. I don't know if we reached the mark, but I think they managed. I think they managed to save it a little bit. I think I could be wrong though. But yeah, no, there's a lot of places in danger, and we've managed to get in touch with like MPs, like local MPs, for trying to like make sort of pledges. Not pledges. What's the word? You know, get in touch with like actual government officials, like
Right.
our MPs managed to do that and raise awareness. So I think we did manage to get that help to save the music industry and the nightclubs as well. We did manage to get that help because I think the government know that there's a lot of money in that, and a lot of people really like to go and, you know, party and enjoy themselves. So, you know, without nightlife, then it'd just be so bland and so dull. Like things wouldn't be the same without nightlife and music in general. So, you know, yeah, they did manage to reach out and help save that a little bit. So it's still difficult though. It's still like in a bit of a troubled time. But I think when things start to open up again, like properly, when COVID's under control, I think that things might be okay again eventually. So we did get a bit of help for that, from what I know. So yeah.
And not that I'm claiming to understand the craft too much, but I mean, it sounds to me like trying to keep those clubs open, trying to keep them relevant, so to speak, it kind of puts music and community together, you know.
Yeah, it did. That's another thing. That's a very positive thing about this, is everybody came together for that. You know, there's people that play gigs every now and then, and there's people that would gig 24/7, you know, and people that would go out clubbing every now and then, and people that just love the good sesh, love to go out on weekends and all that. And you wouldn't really hear from a lot of them. But then now it's a good thing that it's actually kind of been raised awareness for, because now everybody's come together. And that's, if it wasn't for those people, if it wasn't for everyone, generally the whole community, like if it wasn't for us and, you know, everyone supporting each other, we probably wouldn't have managed to help save it, you know. It would have been a very, very difficult stretch. It would have been a pretty long one. So yeah, no, it's definitely brought everyone together. Like people, even like people that aren't into that sort of thing, people that know friends that love that sort of thing, they helped out as well. So that's another way of spreading awareness and spreading the word about. One person hears about it, the other person hears about it. That's good, because then everyone gets involved, and it helps a lot. It goes a long way. So yeah, it's definitely good that people came together for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what so this is a question I've been looking forward to a lot. What was the process behind writing Ballad of the Lin Quay? Like, yeah.
That was very fun.
Yeah, like you had a bunch, like all those different, like the dozen different voices in the song. That was all you, right?
Yeah, that was me. My dad was like, "What the hell was that?" Because I did all the voices. You know, like oh, what was it? You know, the people in the bar, you know, and the glasses smashing and stuff like that. I did all that, and then I went downstairs once I finished. I did that all in like an hour, all of it, and I came out of my room. Like it was like I was left alone like a mad scientist in a laboratory. You know what I mean? And I actually just I just done that, and I came out. My dog was sitting at the top of the stairs waiting for me to take him out, and my dad's going, "What the hell was that noise? What was going on up there?" You know, like freaking out. And I was just like, "It's done now. It's okay." You know, and, it was, yeah, no, it was fun. But no, that was actually a really good process. I really enjoyed that. I actually no, I had to read over the script as well, and just to get the idea of the story, and to make it seem like. I wanted to kind of say it from the perspective of you know, the characters. They seem like, obviously, because those Ed and Price are they're obviously Scottish characters, so I kind of based it on like, you know, like real life, like medieval Scotland and all that, you know. Yeah. Like because there was there was a lot of wars back then as well, and I kind of based it like they were like those kind of people, like, you know, very, very prideful, very like, you know, ready to fight, you know, and away with the outsiders sort of thing, you know. So I kind of based it on them, and made the Lin Quay their sworn enemies, you know, like, so they see Lin Quay in their place, they're like, "Oh, Lin Quay scum, what you doing here?" You know, like, you know, just kind of like that. So that was, I was excited to do that actually, and I when we talked about making it seem very real, the real aesthetic sort of thing in a bar, like a real environment, I was like, right, I have to do this. I have to do this. So, and then because I played in rowdy, loud bars before, and I love it, you know. And you do get glasses smashing, you know what I mean? You do get like people talking about all kinds of nonsense, like, you know, what McDonald's they had like yesterday, you know, that sort of thing, just anything. And I actually, I kind of just made an environment, a little world there. Hopefully, and I hope to myself, I hope that you would have liked it, and I'm glad you did, and it turned out really well, and I'm very proud of it. So that was a very fun process to write that song, and just kind of like put myself in the mind of like an army, kind of, you know, an army of guys who just like, who are in that world and don't like these people. Like, you got to try and bring it to real life almost, you know, and be like, so what, like, you look at like real life wars and real life conflicts, and you think, they don't like them because of this or that. Somebody did this, somebody did that. You just got to kind of like put yourself in that world. Much like Game of Thrones, actually, you know. Game of Thrones, like, you know, it's much like that, you know. Why the Lannisters hate the Starks, like that sort of thing. Why the Starks hate the Lannisters. It's basically just the same as that. The North versus the South, like that kind of thing. You know, that's kind of where it comes from, you know. So I just thought I'd put that together.
Yeah, like actually, it's kind of funny because I'm without giving too much away for anyone who doesn't know where this story is going to go. But what's so cool is that I'm actually going to be adding. I'm actually in the process of brainstorming a new scene for at least the third episode or something like that. And I'll just say that there is a character, and like when we're not recording, when we're when this isn't like a public thing, I'll go ahead and tell you. But there is a character who tells Jericho that it's because of you that there are people in taverns singing about us like we're a joke. That is
Yes.
no joke. Like that is literally a line in that scene, and that was so
I
great
wonder
because
who that was.
yeah. But there's a um, but when I was thinking about how you wrote this song, because again, I gave you complete creative freedom of on how to write it because I just
Thank
trusted
you.
that you do a good job with it. And when I listened to it, I just thought to myself, I felt like that song just not only perfectly encapsulated how the Lin Quay are viewed through the eyes of the main characters in this first episode, but also just the episodes after. It's the fact that the Lin Quay at this point are like just they're fragmented. There's so few of them left now, and they're scattered. So now like normal people who are just kind of sitting in a bar now, they can like make up their own ideas of what the Lin Quay is. And what's so great about that is coming up with this worldview in this mini series where the Lin Quay have just completely lost all their honor, they've lost all their respect, they've lost all the reasons why people could have admired them once upon a time in the first place, and they're just kind of they're like a punchline now. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I loved being able to not only like paint that kind of world in the first episode, but now I'm working on new scenes in later episodes that enhances that. And once again, there's a line to kind of justify the lyrics of your song where it says, now there are, now people are singing about us in taverns like we're a complete joke.
That's so cool, man. That makes me so proud. I'm so happy. Like, yeah, again, that's part of the world, isn't it? That's just what you do. And that's great to hear that that's kind of stemmed from that song, like that scene that you're speaking of. It's just so great, and that just goes to show when you create something like that, that's set in a world, they really actually, they really comes together very well. So
Yeah, things
yeah.
have to complement each other. And that's been a lot of fun because Mortal Kombat is a franchise that never has one clear, concise continuity. It's like they'll come out with a movie, whether it's live action or animated, and it's like, okay, are we not even supposed to like think about what came before? Or is this a whole new story? And then like the games usually just kind of take on their own paths here and there and stuff like that. So when it came to writing a mini series about Mortal Kombat, I was like, well, the most logical thing to do instead of trying to put everything that's come before on your shoulders is just tell your own story, have the world made the way you want to make it, and just draw from the franchise what would work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that's really cool, especially when like franchises are kind of made into films, or just continued at least. When franchises are continued, they make prologues. Like let me think of one, for example, Hannibal. I'm a big fan of
Oh,
Hannibal.
sure.
I love the Hannibal Lecter franchise, like the films and the series, and it's great to see when they expand on these things and backstories, like what they did with Hannibal Rising, for example. That was like the last Hannibal film, I think, that came out, and that was set before Hannibal became the person he is. And it's great to see things like that, and especially Mortal Kombat. So I like it when things are kind of like expanded on, and backstories are kind of revealed, and what made this come to be, that sort of thing. And again, with like Game of Thrones, they do that. What they did was George R. R. Martin loves Lord of the Rings, but there was no there was no politics in it. There was no finance in it. There was no like backstory to exactly what this was or how they did this or how they're living like this. So George R. R. Martin created that world where it's quite, even though it's a fantasy world, there is a sense of realism as to how people act, and how people are with money, There's the Iron Bank, and there's like armies don't have enough money for this war, that sort of thing. So when you add things like that to it as well, it's fascinating, and it's good to do that with Mortal Kombat. It's good to kind of like add different stories into it, and different characters. It's just, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the difference for you? What's the difference between voice acting and singing? Which one do you think is probably harder to do?
Oh, you got me on a good question there.
Yeah, like that was one of my favorites to write, actually.
Yeah, I bet you liked writing that one, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess the harder one. It just depends. I guess maybe all in all, I think the harder one would be voice acting, because with singing, that's worldwide well received. I mean, depending on who's singing, obviously, but I think that it's, you can listen to a singer and you might think, oh, that was really good, or oh, well, I didn't like that song, or I didn't like this, or whatever. But then with voice acting, depending on what character you're doing, if you're doing your own character, that's great, because then you've set the bar. You've set that kind of, this is what this character sounds like, and then if another person does the voice for that role, they might have to either do it like that or up their game on it. For example, I'm doing right now one of my voice acting projects. It's not going to be out for a long time yet, but I've auditioned for Fagin from Oliver and Company, and it's very, very difficult for me. I like the character, but it's very difficult for me to try and get the accent nailed, because it's like quite a New York kind of accent, I think. And it's very difficult to kind of get that nailed and get his mannerisms, his persona, like the little things he does here. You've got to remember all that. So depending on what you're doing for voice acting, it can be very, very challenging to really bring that character to life, and because you're being the voice for that character, aren't you? You're being the voice, you're being the yin to their yang, the Liam Gallagher to their Noel Gallagher, that sort of thing. It's just very difficult sometimes, but it's fun. It's a fun creative process.
Oh,
and
sure.
Like, it was very fun for Mortal Kombat, because I think I was able, and I was very confident with the roles I was given, and obviously it took a few tries, but I got it. But some of them, like some acting parts for other things, can be very difficult. But then you've got singing. Singing it's fun and it's lovable, and everyone does it. A lot of people do it. Even people that don't sing, they sing in the shower. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's, it's great, and you can. I find that more easier, and because if I'm singing my own song, for example, there's it doesn't have to sound like anything because it's my song. So I'm the one who's sort of. I mean, I wrote it. You know what I mean? So it's like, someone can't say, oh, wait, that doesn't sound right. Well, it's like, well, no, I wrote it, so it does. I mean, okay, maybe you'll get a couple of flat notes here and there, but I mean, there's no like, this should sound like this should sound like that. Whether it's voice acting, it can be like that. You could be doing the voice of the Joker, and you'd be like, it wasn't as good as Mark Hamill's Joker. Oh, it wasn't very as good as Heath Ledger's Joker, like that sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah, so I'd say that acting is a lot more. Voice acting is more difficult, but both very much something I love doing. But I face challenges more for voice acting. So
right. So, and I mean, we can talk a little bit more, just kind of about like miscellaneous stuff, but just so that this is out there, so that you can we can help, I guess, help you reach out to more people. Like, where can people find your music, or you, like, on social media? Anywhere where you're comfortable, of course, with people finding you.
Yeah, sure. Other than Tinder, you can find me. You can find my music on primarily on Spotify. Spotify, if you just type in David Angus when the clubs come out. So either my name, you can type in my name only, but then you might find a bunch of people with the same name. It's like, I want to say I'm the one and only, but I'm not. There's a lot of guys called David Angus. So if you type in my album name, you'll definitely find it there. So you can type my name and the album name, or just the album name, you'll definitely find it. You can find it on Deezer, Google Play, and iTunes. Soon I'm going to be moving to Apple Music because that seems to be the new iTunes now, so I'll have to get that on there.
Yeah.
You can find my music on Spotify, not Spotify, SoundCloud. I'm going to be uploading there a lot more with some covers. I don't usually do covers, but I'm actually working on some just for fun. So, and I'll put stuff up there that I wouldn't really release in an album as well. So that's going out there. You can even, if you have me on my Facebook page, David Angus, you'll find it on there. I think it's David Angus Official for the hyperlink, but I could be wrong. But no, it's definitely out there. And YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. That's the same name, David Angus. Even if you type in my album name on YouTube, you'll find the playlist. And I upload videos there from time to time. And that's going to be where my music videos are going. So yeah, those are the main places: Spotify, Deezer, Google Play, iTunes, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay. So. Fantastic. Thanks, David. Yeah, it's kind of funny because when it comes to like telling people about your music, you don't have like an actual like band name. So I always have to say David Angus, and they're like, David Angus, what's that? And I'm like, well, I hope you're able to find it. Like, you know, like you'll have to put in his album name, you know, when the clubs go out or something like that, because I don't really know how to direct people any more than that.
I even had like ideas for like stage names that people could find me under, but I was like, nah, just want to keep it me, you know. But I do have like a band. I've got two bands actually, and it's like doing all that, like juggling like two different bands and then doing my solo thing. You know, it's fun.
Okay.
And, yeah, you can you can just find me under my name. I think my old one on Bandcamp is Way Outer Space. That's what it's called, Way Outer Space. But that's like got stuff on there that I haven't sung in so long, and I sound so different on Bandcamp as well. It was like 18, 19-year-old me singing there, and I'm like 24 now, and I know it's not been that long, but my voice has changed so much since then. So it's like I was on there the other day and I was like, I forgot all about this. Oh my god, who is this guy? You know, like that sort of thing. And yeah, but no, you can find my music. So those are the links you can find them on.
All right, man. Well, hey, like you don't have to log off after I stop recording here, because there were just maybe one or two more things I wanted to mention to you in terms of like Vanzot Media stuff we're working on. But other than that though, as far as this interview is concerned, I think we're done here.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and it was awesome to have you. So guys, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as the usual stuff goes. And we'll see you guys next time on Interview with a Forrest next month. See you guys.